Hey there, YouTubers. This is Coach AJ, and you're watching another episode of Living Fully Fit. We're going to dive deep into the mind a little bit here and looking at a component I'm going to call, and if you've ever heard about this, putting things in perspective. When something happens in our lives, some kind of catastrophizing event, a lot of times what we tend to do is we over-catastrophize it. We take it to the next level and make things bigger than they seem to be. Mainly because that's how our minds go. Our minds tend to go to the negative, right? Something happens, and then what we do is we take that and run with it. And we go to the very extreme negative of what that situation could turn into, right? But what we're gonna do here, and what I'm gonna try to teach you, is how to rewire your mind into a thinking pattern that gets you in line with the more realistic expectation of the situation. What is the more realistic thing that's going to actually happen to you? Because a lot of times what we do is a situation happens, job loss or breakup or whatever it is, your car got broken into, something big happens to you, you get into a car accident. And then what we do is our minds, we tend to go round and round in circles and spin out of control about the worst case scenario, the possibility, but a lot of times that worst case scenario isn't based off of anything in reality. What it is a lot of times, that worst case scenario is based off of unrealistic anxiety and stress. And what we're going to do, what Put It in Perspective does, is it helps alleviate the stress and anxiety. It helps rewire our mind, taking us from the extreme negative to an extreme positive. That way we can rewire and find somewhere in the middle. Because I'm going to give you an example. So the extreme negative, the catastrophizing after the event. Let's say you just lost your job. Now the mind, what we tend to do is we tend to take the mind thought of what happened in the situation and say, okay, I lost my job. Because I lost my job, that means I'm going to be broke. Because I'm broke, my wife's going to leave me, my kids are going to hate me, and I'm going to live in a cardboard box. And because I live in a cardboard box, that means no one's going to love me. I'm not going to be able to see my kids. Since my kids are poor, that means my teenage daughter is going to end up being a stripper at the local strip club. And because of that, she's going to get into a drug addiction. And because of the drug addiction, then, and so on and so forth. Do you see where I'm going here? And the end result is usually death or something crazy, because that's where our minds go a lot of times. Our minds go into the situation where we see the situation and then we take this unrealistic scenario of where it could go. And a lot of times, many times, it will never go that direction. But our minds go in that direction. It stops us from taking something as small as it could be and making it bigger, getting that, the anthill out of the mountain out of the anthill, so to speak. But here's what we need to do. What Put It in Perspective does is it helps alleviate the anxiety. It helps get us into a realistic mode of thought. And then what we can do is start being productive and start moving forward after the activating event. Because activating events happen all the time. They do. They happen in everyday scenarios. But what we tend to do, we can either catastrophize it or we can move forward, right? So I'm going to use the idea of put in perspective. What we're going to do, situation, loss of job, right? Here's the extreme. I'm going to explain the extreme thought process, right? But then what we can do is go to the extreme positive. And that's going to get us into the right mindset of, again, more positive thinking. I lost my job. Well, because I lost my job, that means it gives me opportunity to get a new job. And I'll get this amazing job, make way more money, become a rich person. I'll become famous. I'll get that nice Mercedes-Benz I've always wanted, that nice mansion on the lake, and my kid will go to Harvard, and they'll be happy and successful, and I will buy all this property all around the world, and I'll retire at age 40 and be done, right? Extreme positive. You have your extreme negative, and you have your extreme positive. The idea is then to merge those two together and meet in the middle, a realistic expectation of the situation. Then after you get the negative, get the positive, you try to meet in the middle and say, okay, what is the realistic scenario here? Well, I lost my job. Realistically, I'll probably be unemployed maybe a week. And if not, I'll get an unemployment check. If not, I have a great support team. My family will surround me. If not, I know I have money in savings. But I also know I'm motivated. I can get a job. I have a great resume. And because I have a great resume, I'll get the right job for me. And it might be even a better job that I have now. And because of that, my life and my future will be secure and set. See? Extreme negative, extreme positive, meet in the middle. When we start putting things in perspective and looking at the realistic scenario and outcome of the situation, then our minds get right. And we don't start twirling around, spinning out of control based off of things that we don't have control sometimes. Sometimes you don't have control of your job. Right now in this whole coronavirus situation, a lot of people are losing their jobs. And I'm sure all the thoughts are going through your head of, what am I going to do next? Well, first thing, start thinking of realistic. Get a little more extra positive, of course. Get into extra positive, unrealistic positive to kind of rewire your mind and find yourself in the middle ground. And if it needs to, maybe write it down. Write down the very extreme negative, and then write down the very extreme positive, and then find the realistic middle ground. And that way you can start rewiring your mind to think of, how can I put this in the perspective of realistic expectations of my situation. When we start doing that, our minds become healthier, our minds become more productive, and because when our minds are productive, our actions and emotions are also productive, and we can grow and move forward and be as healthy, mentally fit as possible. So my challenge to you as we're going through this uncertain time, don't allow your mind to spin out of control and go to the extreme negative. Sometimes we might have to rewire our mind and go to the extreme positive to bring us back to the middle, bring us back to a situation in a mode of thought that's going to be conducive and helpful for you. I'm Coach AJ, and you watched another episode of Living Fully Fit. Take care. If you like what you're watching, make sure to subscribe down below. Check me out on Facebook, Living Fully Fit on Facebook. There's a lot of great content on there and conversation and tips and ideas that help you grow, not only just mentally fit, but physically, spiritually, relationally, and emotionally. The whole idea of fully fit on those every little ring is to find that balance. Life is about balance and focus and find that equilibrium. So I challenge you to check me out on Facebook, but also subscribe and share these videos that not only can help you, but help the people around you. Take care.